The following is a Mission Studios podcast.
Please remember, my little Podverse family, like, subscribe, and leave a comment on your podcast platform of choice. It helps me out and works the algorithm to get better rankings and bring our little podcast family to more listeners. Thank you, and on with the show. Welcome to the Podverse podcast. We like to stir up minds, emotions, and thoughts. Episodes will be emotional, some will be a bit comical, and everything else in between. But all will have a message and be given from the heart. So sit back, get comfy, and enjoy the journey. So this week, I want to talk to you about how frustrating situations occur and how hard it is trying to keep cool. For me, having PTSD and being OCD, dealing with the whirlwind of emotions, sometimes feeling like nothing is ever going to calm down, thoughts running, my temper reaching a feverish pitch in my head. It seems like there was literally one mischievous dude on my right shoulder whispering, Yeah, do it. Get pissed and let go. Then on my left shoulder, a calm little guru dude telling me to relax, allow the moment to flow away. So I would start to let it flow away. Then the little bugger on my right shoulder would grab it and shove it back in my ear, and the fuming would start all over again. It is a seriously vicious cycle, spinning out of control, and it seems it is always getting worse. My head was consistently full, always fighting with do or do not. Then one day at my wit's end, I lost it. Here's an abridged version of what happened to force me to look inside myself and change the way I deal with stuff. Plus, remember, I tried so many things. Talking myself through many a situation like road rage, people backstabbing, ignoring under-the-breath smart-ass comments made at me. Well, one day I was walking home and the shortcut takes me behind a local mall. As I was walking home, a guy was walking towards me, and I smile and nod as we pass. A few more steps and I hear him call back, Hey! Aren't you that guy that plays crib downtown at Tim Hortons? I turn back and answer, Yep. That's me. Yeah, he says. You're always with that cute shorter girl. I think for a moment. Could be. I play with lots of people. He looks sternly at me and says, I'm talking about that short girl with the brown hair. I chuckle, realizing who he's talking about. Oh, that's my daughter. Don't challenge her. She's one hell of a crib player. He looks at me dead in the eyes with a smile on his face. Oh, man. The things I could do to her, he said. I stopped, dead in my tracks. The smile now gone from my face. Excuse me? That's my daughter. An argument ensued. He blurted out, Oh, you're just too old to understand. In which I replied, Bro, you're obviously older than I am. This guy, obviously annoyed now, barges up to me, puts his face right into mine and yells, Get the F over yourself! And live, you bitch! Then he pushes me. At that point, I let loose. I no longer care about keeping my cool, and a fight broke out. It lasted a while, cops were called. We were separated, and luckily, things worked out this time. In the end, no charges were laid. But I could have been charged, hurt, tons of stupid things. Then, right after the situation, I realized, even though I was defending my at-the-time underage daughter, I was in a predicament that could have landed my ass in jail. I fought 30 years to stay out. I risked my freedom for an ass with a loathsome sense of morals? So the reason I tell you this is sometimes we as people need a heavy situation to build or create a change, which is usually motivated by something in no way, shape, or form seen or predicted, like the scenario I just mentioned. It was nothing more than an engagement of stupidity, and realized if I do not do something now, I'm going to end up in a bad situation real soon. Now, what happened for me at that moment was a state of necessity created a mindset for mandatory change, which gives avenues for inventive actions to motivate change, and with that, I really needed a smarter and better evolution of me to emerge from this experience. So I started developing a technique I call triggers. I use these to help me deal with idiots like I just mentioned, general hassles, and most of the everyday BS. Have you ever thought about how hard it is to stop yourself from saying or doing things that you feel you want to, but logically you know for sure you should not? Well, I know one of my biggest issues used to be the stopping before I got in trouble side of the scenario. I'm not talking about things that set you off or being triggered by something annoying or stupid. Nothing at all like that. But what if in the middle of a fit of anger or just getting fed up and telling people where to go and how to get there, resulting in a problem, you could make a small action or gesture in the beginning of a rage and make your brain switch tracks and think calm thoughts and start to mellow yourself out. Then automatically the rational side of your brain kicks in and works through the issue, not allowing yourself to take offense or rage with anger. And you can now leave the situation proud, knowing you bested someone and fixed the situation with your intellect rather than your mouth and hands. So now, whenever I get angry or frustrated with someone in traffic, I have programmed a gesture so when I feel, I make a small, insignificant gesture most would never even notice, and the rational side of my head takes over, and my head calms me and actually starts to problem solve. No one gets hurt, no one gets mouthy, and no one has any reason to take offense. Win-win. I will do a pod in the upcoming weeks about how I make triggers and how I create associations for those triggers. So this week, my little Podverse family, go out and create a positive change for you. What you do is totally up to you, but I ask you to do something to make yourself proud of you. I know you can do it. I have faith in you. And you're all amazing. I got a few emails last week about my pod on mental health. And one person asked me to share what they did last Wednesday, which I guess would now be the 11th of March 2020, but not to use their name. So I read this with much respect. One of our Podverse family went to their local mental health office and asked if there were any mental health classes because they want to learn how to recognize mental health issues and they want to know how to be more comfortable and open-minded when dealing with a person that has mental health issues. Well, Pod family, their class is a 4-day class, once a week for 4 weeks, starting on Tuesday, April the 17th, 2020. This is friggin' amazing. I am so touched and honored that someone listened and took action to make a difference. My hat is off to you, email person, and off to all of you that made a difference this week. I love you all. Be safe during this self-isolation time, and keep being awesome, my Podverse family. See you next week.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Podverse podcast. Whatever you take from this message, it is given freely and with the utmost respect. Any support for the Podverse podcast is always welcome and can be left at our website, www.pod-versecom. Whether support is by way of suggestion, story, constructive criticism, or maybe you wish to sponsor an episode, there is never any obligation. We just hope to create a wonderful experience for you in this Podverse community. Also, be sure to check us out on our social media. Join us on Facebook at Pod-Verse Podcast Group or on Twitter at Pod_Verse. Chat with you in the next episode.